Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to bring you the biggest book haul ever, and I am kind of okay with that, even though a few weeks ago I told myself I needed a book buying ban. It just isn't going to happen, especially when on the drive of every Monday morning I drop my daughter back at residential college. I have discovered two huge new charity shops. So last Monday I explored them and they both do 3 books for £1 again. 3 books for £1. We're talking like 33p a book here. And at that price, when I see things I think at some point I might read, I just get them. So I popped in this morning on the way back from dropping my daughter back at college, and the bookshelves were completely different. They were rammed full of classics, they were rammed full of really unusual books, they were rammed full of prize-winning books. I just bought the shop out. In fact, I went from telling myself I was on a book buying ban to buying so many books in one go that the shop gave me a free suitcase to help me get back to the car. And it is a rather gorgeous old-fashioned suitcase, but I thought that was hysterical that they handed me a free suitcase to get back to the car. That's how well the book buying ban is going. But with no shame whatsoever, I am going to share the books that I found. All in all, although there was a suitcase and a bit full of books, rammed full of books, I only spent £15. That includes the suitcase. So £15 worth of books. Let me show you what I found. So first of all, there is a book that I have been wanting to add to my Liminal stories bookshelf. So I really wanted to develop the idea of reading for the Liminal, and one aspect of Liminal reads for me is the idea of journey books. Books which put you on a journey, because you're neither here nor there, you're on the space in between. And I think journey stories become liminal. So last month I read The Life of Pi, which I adored. That was a journey book, that was a liminal book. But there was one journey book that I've been looking for ages to reread from my childhood read, that of Watership Down. And you can't buy this cheap online. For cheap I mean like £4 or under, and I kept nearly buying it, and I thought, no, just hold out, at some point it's going to turn up in a charity shop. And there it was, in this Penguin edition, Watership Down by Richard Adams, in lovely condition. You can see the spines not cracked at all. So finally I can add Watership Down to my Liminal bookshelf to read when I want a liminal read. So I'm so pleased with that. Right, I'm just going to grab what's in front of me. Arnold Bennett, Anna of the Five Towns. So this is a Penguin 20th century classic. I've never heard of this book. I've never heard of Arnold Bennett either, but any Penguin classic, especially like a modern classic, because although I've been reading Victorian literature this year, I am going to be going on to sort of the modern era soon. So if I see a Penguin classic, I am going to get it. So that was the first of the classics. I also found Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe. I've got Treasure Island up on the shelf waiting to be read, but I've never read Robinson Crusoe, and I feel like they're all kind of in the same remit. So to find a copy of Robinson Crusoe, I thought, yep, let's get that. Okay, my favourite Penguin edition classic, or my favourite classic edition full stop, is this version of the Penguin classics, the one where you get the little detail of the cover on the spine. I absolutely love reading from these editions, and I managed to pick up Henry James' The Portrait of a Lady, which I haven't read before. This also links with a Open University book that one of you lovely guys put me on the track of. One of the books that they covered in that Open University textbook is The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James, and there it was sitting on the shelf. So that went into my bag. Another Arnold Bennett. So not only did I find this one, but next to it I also found this book, The Grand Babylon Hotel, both in the Penguin 20th Century Classic Edition. I love it if I find an author to get more than one of the book, because if I don't like it, I always think, well, I need to just try one more just to see. And if I do like it, I always think, oh, I wish I had more of that author to read. So it just makes sense to get more than one book. So I've got 2 Arnold Bennett books. If you've ever read anything by Arnold Bennett, then let me know. Oh, the cover of this book is absolutely gorgeous. So I got this gorgeous edition of Umberto Eco's The Island of the Day Before. I've never read any Umberto Eco. It looks magical. Is it magical realism? It says it's a Pacific Island adventure for answers to eternal questions such as what is matter, what is God, and what is love. So this one sounds fascinating. It's in lovely condition. It's a bit of a chunky monkey, but yeah, I was really pleased to pick up an Umberto Eco book. Now this is one for my literature degree course. This is a Penguin classic. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. So this is a poem from 800 years ago, a poem around the heroic legends of the Ring, a great German epic poem of murder and revenge accounts with peculiar strength and directness. Loads of different legends in this German epic poem. It's translated by A.T. Hatto. Again, great condition for a Penguin classic. So just out of interest for classic narrative poetry, which I've read 0 of, I thought let's get that while it's sitting there for 30p. Now this book I already do have, but it's a Charles Dickens in the Oxford World Classics edition, and I just know that sometimes they have different illustrations, and you can see that this has got quite a few illustrations kind of dotted in amongst the text. So there's sometimes different plates in these, and it's just lovely to have the drawings interspersed. So I did pick Barnaby Rudge up as well. Barnaby Rudge that I've already got is in a vintage edition. You can see that the plates are sort of displayed differently throughout this book on single pages. So I know it's extravagant to get 2 editions, but if I've learned anything this year, it's that Charles Dickens is going to be an all-time favourite author, or up there with the top 3, I would have thought. So I couldn't resist it in an Oxford World Classics edition. I then picked up this strange little book, Abba Abba by Anthony Burgess. Now this is, I think it's a fictional story, or like pondering about what would happen, or what would have happened if John Keats met Giuseppe Belli, two poets meeting. Says the book itself is about 2 poets who may or may not have met in Rome in 1820 to 1821. So I think it's a fictional account of that potential meeting between them. Just sounded really interesting, a bit off the wall, and to be honest, I like books like that. I found this gorgeous hardback copy of a Herman Hesse book, The Glass Bead Game. Look at this lovely hardback copy. Isn't that just a fantastic cover? Now I've not read any Herman Hesse. I've got no idea what to expect. The jacket design is by Alan Tunbridge. Just love the jacket design, so why not, let's pick it up. I also got a couple of Joseph Conrad books. So I got, in the Penguin Popular Classics editions, I got The Secret Agent, and then in this gorgeous, this kind of feels like material, this book here, I got this gorgeous vintage copy of The Mirror of the Sea by Joseph Conrad. I have never read any Joseph Conrad before. I did find one other book as well a while ago, so I've got 3 Joseph Conrad books now lined up to give him a good go. So another author that I have now seen quite a few books. I think I've already got 3 books by him, and I found another 3. There's 2 out, one's buried in the bag down here. Sebastian Faulks. I found quite a few books now by Sebastian Faulks. At some point I've got enough to just do like a month of Sebastian Faulks reading. So I've already got Birdsong and Engelby. What else have I got? I think I've got those 2, but I'm adding to those 2 Where My Heart Used to Beat. I also found a hardback edition of Charlotte Gray, which says it's his first novel since Birdsong. This doesn't look like it's been touched. It looks brand new. In the bag that I'm about to start delving into now, there is another Sebastian Faulks book. I think I found 3. Another author as well that I think I've got Possession, and I've got the children's book lined up to read, is A.S. Byatt. I've read no A.S. Byatt at all. So to add to those 2 books, I also found The Virgin in the Garden, and I found The Shadow of the Sun as well. I'm sure I found another A.S. Byatt as well. To be honest, I can't even remember what's in here. So I found a Richard Ford book, Independence Day, which is winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So to be honest, any prize fiction I will buy. I found a lot of Booker Prize long list and shortlisted books, which will go for next year's Candies secondhand Booker Prize, which I'm always excited to find. This is a title I've heard a lot spoken about. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Love in the Time of Cholera. I've never read any of this author. Recognised the title immediately, so picked that one up. So that is in another Penguin Classics edition. So John McGregor. Last month I found If Nobody Speaks of Remarkable Things, or it might have been a few months ago actually, which I haven't got round to reading yet. But I found this book by him as well, So Many Ways to Begin, this hardback copy. So again, like I said, if I've got one of an author's books, I do like it if I can find another one. So this was the winner of the Orange Prize for New Writers. This is Diane Evans 26A. I don't know anything about that, but I saw Orange Prize on there and got it. This is the author, and I'm so sorry. I think I'm going to destroy that name if I attempt it. But it's from the author of The Mistress of Spices, which was a women's prize. I think it was a winner, and I've got that on my women's prize shelf downstairs. So again, just really nice to have that second book to read the same author. So I picked that one up. There's the other Sebastian Faulks book, The Girl at the Lion d'Or. So beautiful cover on that one. So that was 3 Sebastian Faulks books. And we're still going. So this was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2009. This is a Simon Mauer book, The Glass Room. I did recognise the title of this from the spine and thought, I'm sure that is a Booker Prize book, and pulled it out, and yes, it was. So that's always exciting for me to find Booker Prize book. And then another one long listed for the Man Booker Prize in 2007, The Welsh Girls by Peter Ho Davis. So that one got put in the bag as well. This was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 1996, so we're going back a bit now. This is Seamus Dean's Reading in the Dark, another title that I really recognised. So that was exciting. Now we've got another classic Penguin modern classic. So this is E.M. Forster's A Passage to India. I've got Howard's End waiting to be read, and I've now got Passage to India, which is brilliant. Here's the other A.S. Byatt book, Still Life. I love the cover on that one. Iris Murdoch gives this the thumbs up, and I read some Iris Murdoch last month for the first time and loved her writing, so excited to get to that one. And then a little Pan Macmillan paperback book. I think I probably bought this, to be honest, as much for the cover, this sort of kitsch cover I love. So this is Susan Howe Watches The Shrouded Walls by the author of Pen Marek. The Shrouded Walls, that kind of had a gothic feel to the title. The gothic feel to the title, plus it being this old sort of vintage copy, and that cover, that was it. I was sold. Okay, now look at this one. This is absolutely gorgeous. This has got gilt edges. So you've got a purple ribbon in this, and this is a Canterbury Classics, which I've never heard of. Classic works from women writers. Absolutely gorgeous cover. On the back you've got a list of everybody in here. Some of the works in here I have read, some I just haven't. So you've got Agatha Christie, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. There is Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Yellow Wallpaper, which I have read. But you've also got her essay, Why I Wrote the Yellow Wallpaper, in here. You've got Jane Austen's Letter to Fanny Knight. You've got Elizabeth Gaskell's Cousin Phyllis, which I've never read. Mary E. Wilkins Freeman's Luella Miller is in here. Life by Charlotte Bronte, Stars by Emily Bronte, which is a poem I absolutely love. Dreams by Anne Bronte is in here. Silly Novels by Lady Novelists by George Eliot is in here. You've got an extract from The Romance of the Forest by Anne Radcliffe, which so far is my favourite Anne Radcliffe book. You've got all of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Anne Bradstreet's Contemplations. You've got Grace McCarran Cook's A Call. You've got Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market. Willa Cather's On the Gull's Road. You've got some Emily Dickinson poems. The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf. There is Edna St. Vincent Millay's Renaissance, Edith Wharton's Zingu, Amy Lowell's Patterns, Catherine Mansfield's The Garden Party, Tender Buttons by Gertrude Stein, The Shadowy Third by Ellen Glasgow, An Afterword by Edith Wharton, and Poems by Sarah Teasdale. So a few I have read, but lots I haven't. And how could I leave that, guys, on the shelf for 30 pence? Same with this gorgeous hardback, which again looks untouched. This is the book Washington Black by this author here. Again, I'm not going to attempt to say it because I have no idea yet how to pronounce it, and I'd hate to mispronounce a name. Man Booker and Orange Prize shortlisted. So both prizes this was shortlisted for. This has got some pretty glorious end papers. Look at that. So again, one I just couldn't leave on the shelf. And the end papers in this book are also rather lovely. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Then I found The Six Wives of Henry VIII by Antonia Fraser, a book that I would love to read, but to be honest, I picked this up as a gift for Julie over at Bookish Travels because she loves books like that. So I always look out for my friends. I found Peter Ackroyd's biography of the artist William Blake, which I squealed when I saw that one. The winner of the Man Booker Prize, Anne Enright's The Green Road. I then found this rather gorgeous vintage copy of, what's it called, How Different From Us by Josephine Cam, which follows the biography of Miss Buss and Miss Beale, who were, from what I can read on the blurb, they were fundamental in changing education for women. They were involved in founding the North London Collegiate School, the forerunner and model of girls' high schools throughout the country, and also for setting up St Hilda's College at Oxford as well. So big impact into the education of girls, these two women. Fascinating. This is one of the offshoots I've found from reading more and more like Victorian literature, it's made me just really intrigued to read more history books. If you'd have ever told me I'd be interested in reading history, it would have been absolutely not. For me, I hadn't had that spark of curiosity for history from, I think, honestly, the way history is taught in school. It was just so dull, and about remembering dates, which I can never remember. And when you think about the stories that you can find within the scope of the history of the world, how history isn't taught to be the most exciting subject ever, I do not know. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to find out about this. I mean, I have a fascination with all things Oxford and the Oxford colleges anyway. So yeah, I was really excited to see that. On that same track of history, I have started looking at history books thinking that would be really interesting to read, and I found this English Social History by J.M. Trevelyan. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this author. So this is a very old sort of vintage book, but I just thought the topics discussed were really interesting. So this was first published in 1944, and it covers things like Chaucer's England, Field, Village and Manor House, Chaucer's England Part 2, Town and Church, England in the Age of Caxton, Tudor England, an introduction, the end of the Middle Ages, England during the anti-clerical revolution, Shakespeare's England Part 1, Shakespeare's England Part 2, the England of Charles and Cromwell, Restoration England, Defoe's England, Dr. Johnson's England Part 1, Dr. Johnson's England Part 2, and there's a Part 3 of that. Then Scotland at the beginning and at the end of the 18th century, Scotland at the time of the Union, Scotland at the end of the 18th century, then Cobbett's England Part 1 and 2, and then between the two reform bills, and then the second half of the Victorian era. So those are the headings. I just thought that sounded fascinating. My history knowledge is probably zero, so anything like that that gives me an overview and breaks it down into sections, what a nice way to start. So that was one that I was really chuffed to find. Down to the last book, another old vintage classic. This is The Works of Tennyson, and this is a very old Macmillan vintage edition, which is signed in the front. It's in not too bad a condition actually. It says, to Winnie, wishing her many happy returns of the day, January the 3rd, 1916, from Mother. Isn't that fantastic? If you open it up at the front, you have a portrait of Tennyson. You also have these gorgeous sort of rice paper covers, and then inside you've got like all the poems of Tennyson. How absolutely gorgeous is this? So that, I think, was a treasure to be found. So in front of me I do literally have a suitcase worth full of books for £15. Well, I just had to share it with you. Like I say, my book buying ban is just failing dismally. I am okay with that. I think I have realised that buying books and reading books is a different hobby. Also, buying books, this is going to sound so morbid, but it makes me feel like I am immortal. It makes me feel like I'm never going to die, and it keeps existential dread at bay. If I actually totted up the unread books I've got and how long it's going to take me to read them, it scares me because I know I'm not going to get to them all. But to be honest, the intent is to read these books. I haven't bought anything thinking it's just to go on the shelf. I desperately want to read all of them. And for the price, guys, I mean, which one am I going to leave behind for the price? Am I going to leave these behind? Am I going to leave these behind when I'm collecting the author to read? Am I going to leave a vintage Tennyson book behind? It's not going to happen. So that's it, guys. That's my suitcase worth of books, quite literally. I hope you enjoyed seeing that haul. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.